Hello everyone, welcome to Session-09. In this session, we are going to discuss about another very important concept of Angular, that is standalone component. You might have heard about this term standalone component whenever we are discussing about the Angular project. So there is one concept that is related to standalone. So in this session, we will discuss mainly what is this standalone component, why do we need it, and what are the benefits of using it. Also, we will compare it with the module-based component which we used earlier, right? So after version 14 of Angular, we started with using this standalone component. So in this session, we will discuss each and everything from scratch. Although there is nothing to show as a practical thing, we are not going to do any coding or here, we are just going to discuss the theoretical things related to standalone and module-based component. Okay, so but before we proceed further, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to create and not create exactly what is the difference between standalone and module based component. Okay, so for that I have already created one tabular format, so let me show you that. So this is the table which will help us to understand the concept of standalone component. So if we talk about the definition, then standalone component is a component that is self-contained and do not require a module. Yes. So if you remember, in last session, in last two sessions, we created some of the components, right? So there you can see there is no module, right? There is no module kind of thing. So these are all standalone component. But when if we talk about the Angular version before 14 version, then you can say that yes, older than 14 version, then yes, there we were using the module to make the component. Okay, so if someone asks you the definition, the exact definition, so you can simply say that component that is self-contained and does not require a module is a standalone component. Whereas if we talk about the module based component, then it is a component that declared inside a NgModule that manage its dependencies. Okay, so in terms of definition, this is the difference. Now the next thing is introduced in. So if we talk about the standalone component, that it is introduced in after the Angular 14 version. Okay, and in case of module based component, it was there since Angular's inception. Okay, so as I mentioned, older version of Angular version older than 14 is using there we were using the module based component, and after 14 version we are using the standalone component. Okay, so if someone asks you what if you, maybe some of you are thinking that the component that we created, what was it, standalone or a module based? So it is a standalone, because there is no need to pass anything in a module. In fact, there is no module itself. Okay, fine. Now the next thing is declaration. So in case of standalone component, sometime you might see this thing standalone true, but by default it considered it that yes, this is a standalone component, so don't worry about it. But in case of this module based component, it is declared inside the array of module. Okay, then if we talk about this dependency handling, then here it import dependencies directly in the component decorator. So let's say if you want to use another component inside this, so what you will do, you will use this standalone component inside a component decorator. But here in case of module based component, dependencies are imported in imports array of the module. Then we have bootstrap. It can be bootstrapped directly into main.ts file. If you don't know about bootstrap and all these technical terms, it's completely fine, because in this session we are just talking about the theoretical part. But when we will be doing the practical things regarding all these things, I'll explain each and everything again. But for now, we are just discussing over the overview. Alright, so in case of module based component, bootstrapped via app module or other module. Okay, now if we compare standalone and module based component on the terms of reusability, then it can be imported and used directly in any other component or route, whereas in case of module based component, it needs to be imported and declared in a module first. Okay, then if we talk about the complexity, yes, it is simpler for smaller and self-contained app, and it was considered better for large application with complex dependency trees. But we all know that after a time, like after a modification and upgradation, everyone is adopting the standalone nowadays. Okay, and in case of performance, yes, it is potentially faster because it loads potentially faster loads the time due to fewer dependency, whereas in this case slightly it is slow due to the module resolution overhead. Don't go and worry about these technical terms. I'll explain again whenever we are going to talk about these concepts separately. For now we are just doing the comparison. Okay, then we have routing. So in case of routing, it can be defined its own routes without being part of a module, whereas in case of routes, here like routes are defined within a module using route module. Okay, so this is the thing. Now let's move to the next point where we are talking about the provider services. So it can provide services directly in a component, but here services are usually provided in module or route. If we compare on the basis of directive and pipe users, it import needed directive and pipes in a component imports array, whereas in case of module based, it automatically available if the module imports a shared module. Okay, then next we have tree shaking. What is tree shaking? That we will discuss maybe in upcoming session, like what is tree shaking concept. But for now, just keep it in mind that it in case of standalone component, better tree shaking with reduced bundle size. In case of module based component, it can be include unused module dependency in bundle. Alright, so we all know that migration is also one of the important phase of any Angular project. So in case of migration complexity, it is easier to transition from modules to standalone gradually, whereas in case of module based, it is more difficult to break down large modules into standalone components. Okay, next thing is use case. Yes, it is suitable for micro frontends, lightweight apps and independent components, whereas if we talk about module based application, it is ideal for large complex apps with multiple features. And the next and the last thing, that is unit testing. So yes, it is testable without a module setup, but it requires a module configuration for testing. So these are the all point on the basis of which we can easily differentiate between these two terms, standalone component and module based component. But do you know, like, there are other things as well? Yes, for sure, like there are some of the things that we will be learning by the time when we are going to create the components for our project, right? But overall we can see and we can observe that standalone component does not require anything related to module, whereas in case of module based, from its name it is clear, right, that module based component needs and requires a module. Okay, so these are the all differentiation point that you can maybe note for now if you are preparing for any interview or job, for any job interview or for any exam, so you can note it down. But yeah, these are the thing that at least you should know while answering the theoretical related question. And later on, like, we will be discussing mostly on the practical part, and we will create everything from scratch, so don't worry about it. And if you have any question maybe regarding to this session or with any question for any of the session delivered so far, so you can simply comment down in the you can simply comment it down, so that if you need my help, I can simply answer the questions in the comment section. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.